You hear the words capitalist and socialist thrown around all the time, right? But what if I told you that almost every major economy on the planet, from the US to Sweden, isn't purely one or the other? It's something in between, a system that's way more common than you'd think. Today, we're diving into what's called a mixed economy.
Seriously? We love putting things in neat little boxes, don't we? This country's capitalist, that one is socialist. We draw these hard lines. But if you actually look around, almost no country fits perfectly into those boxes. The reality is, well, it's a lot messier and, frankly, a lot more interesting.
And that brings us to our first big point. This whole idea of pure black and white economies, it's pretty much an illusion.
The truth is, modern economies are kind of like a custom playlist. They're not just one genre. They're a complex blend of different ideas and systems, taking bits and pieces from different theories to create something that works in the real world.
So to really understand this blend, we've got to look at the two theoretical extremes that have been battling it out for centuries. Let's dig into these two competing visions.
Okay, so on one end of the spectrum, you have the pure free market, what we usually think of as pure capitalism. Here, private individuals and companies own everything. Supply and demand run the show, and the main goal is profit. Simple enough. On the complete opposite end, you have the pure command economy, or communism. In this system, the state owns and controls the whole shebang. A central government makes all the decisions, and the stated goal is welfare for the collective.
But a totally hands-off approach, that has some serious dangers. With a pure free market, you can get these huge, massive gaps between the rich and the poor. And what about things we all need, like clean air or national security? If there's no profit in it, who's going to provide it? And with no rules, monopolies can take over, crushing competition and sending the economy on a wild roller coaster of booms and busts.
Now let's flip the coin. A system where the government controls absolutely everything has its own set of massive problems. Individual freedom and choice? Yeah, those can go right out the window. Central planning is also famously inefficient, often leading to shortages of even the most basic things. And when the government is the only game in town, innovation can just stop.
So, if both of these extremes are so full of holes, what's the answer? There has to be a better way, right? Some kind of middle ground?
And the answer is a resounding yes. This is exactly where we see pretty much every developed nation landing, forging a practical path right down the middle.
And this is it, the mixed economy. Look, it's not a perfect theory that makes ideologues happy, but it's a practical solution that works. It's all about combining the incredible energy and innovation of private business with the stability and protection that government oversight can offer.
At its heart, it's all about finding that balance. The whole point is to try and get the best of both worlds. You get the economic freedom for people to create and succeed, but you also get the social security of knowing there are systems in place to support the public good.
Okay, so that all sounds good in theory, but how does it actually work in the real world? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the engine that drives it, and the rules that keep it on the road.
It basically breaks down like this. First, you have the private sector, acting as the engine. Businesses are creating things, coming up with new ideas, and providing jobs. Then, the public sector builds the framework, the roads, the schools, the legal system that everything runs on. Third, regulations act like the traffic laws, the safeguards, to make sure no one gets hurt and the system stays stable. And finally, you have social safety nets, just in case, to catch people if they fall.
Let's look at some real-world examples of this partnership. Think about your smartphone. Sure, a private company designed and manufactured it, but the internet it runs on, the GPS technology, a lot of that foundational research was funded by the public sector. Or healthcare. Private companies develop amazing new medicines, but public health agencies regulate them to make sure they're safe for you to take. It's a constant dance between the two.
I love this analogy of thinking about it like a recipe. You've got the energy of private enterprise, that's your powerful key ingredient. But you also need the structure and rules from the government, that's the recipe itself, to hold it all together and make sure the final dish is stable and something everyone can enjoy. But here's the thing about this recipe. It's never really finished. Finding the perfect mix isn't something you do once. It's a constant, never-ending process of trying to find the right balance. And like any system, it's all about trade-offs. On the plus side, you get innovation and you protect the vulnerable. You get essential public services and a more stable economy. But on the other hand, it can mean higher taxes. And let's be honest, government intervention can sometimes be slow and inefficient. Finding that just right mix is the subject of constant, fierce debate.
And this is really the core of it all.
In almost every modern country, the argument isn't really about if the government should have a role in the economy. The real debate, the one that defines our politics, is about how much. How much regulation is too much? How big should the safety net be? That's where the real fight is.
Ultimately, the search for that perfect balance is always changing. It evolves with a country's values, with new technology, with new challenges. And that leaves us with a final question for you to chew on. What does the right balance between economic freedom and social security look like to you?